Hi there. Just gonna show off. I haven't seen a lot of profiles this format yet of green yellow MegaZoo. So I just thought I'd do my profile. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen a lot more profiles for things like purple and obviously yellow or Greymon. Best deck in BT4 right now. But yeah, haven't seen a lot of profiles. Obviously, Huang Zero did a profile just before the BT4 release, or just after, I think, of it. But other than his and maybe like True Champion Steven, he did a profile. I haven't seen any. So I just thought I'd do mine just to sort of I don't know, get people a little interested in it if they hadn't seen it already. I know it was weird. It's it's a pretty well known deck. Like people know about it. But yeah, at my locals, nobody knew what I was going on about. So um, a few people did, but not everyone. Yeah, so yeah, it's just interesting to see how the format's been out for what 2 weeks now, and yeah, there just hasn't been any of these floating around that I've seen. No one at my locals is playing it. To my knowledge, the other locals in my area, nobody's playing it. So yeah, just thought I'd do a profile. So babies, Demi Vmon, best baby for Vmon. Just drawing. In MegaZoo, you don't evolve a lot, so you kind of need that draw engine. Plus, who doesn't love swinging for free damage? It also gives you access, even if you don't have the Vmon. Something that I see some people still somehow getting confused with is that babies count towards option card activation. You can activate option cards if you only have a baby of that color on the field. So if your Demi Vmon's in the raising area and you want to activate a Cocytus Breath or something like that, you can still drop the Cocytus Breath because this still counts. You have a blue Digimon. It's just yeah. People think that it has to be out here, which means you would have to have a level 3, but that's just not the case. Yeah, I don't know how people are still getting confused with that. Yeah. Then obviously the last baby. Ideally, you would want to get through the Demi Vmons because you're always getting the draw off of that. The reason I don't just play the 4 Demi Vmons is just in case I get all of my Vmons and I swing them out and then I lose them. If that ends up happening, then I don't have any way to activate my option cards if I don't have a 4th egg. So I play the 1 Ooper because it's another draw engine. You're less likely to get it off because this is guaranteed. However, yeah, it's just there for drawing, and for the potential that you could run out of eggs by digivolving all of your Vmons and then your opponent crashing into them. Now I'm going to separate this into sort of 3 parts. I'm going to separate it into green, yellow, and then blue, just to show the different sort of ratios. So for green, I'm playing 10 Digimon, Puppetmon. I feel like this is self-explanatory. It's Puppetmon. You hardcast it, you get a big body, and your opponent's Digimon can't unsuspend. If they overextend, then you just punish them. They overextend, you drop a Puppetmon, you hit. It doesn't matter what you hit because in Digimon, all as much of the effect as possible activates. Even if all of their Digimon are suspended, you can still target one of their suspended Digimon because all the effect says is suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So you can still target a Digimon oh well, potentially you wouldn't target a Digimon, but the rest of the effect still goes off. So during your opponent's next unsuspend phase, they don't unsuspend. So I still think Puppetmon is absolutely busted. The 11 cost, it's completely warranted. If it was a 10 cost, I feel like it would sort of be a little too broken, because you could Puppetmon on turn 1 with 0 memory, which I know sounds kind of stupid, but then you get the when attacking effect, gain a memory. That's insane. And when we go over the rest of the deck, you'll sort of see why the +1 memory can sort of be warranted. Like 4 Lotusmon, new card in set 4. Basically the play is you would hope is you drop this on like turn 2. So the aim with this deck is to potentially go second. They give you what, like 1 to 2 memory. You drop a Lotusmon. Every level 3 and 4 that they hardcast now gets suspended automatically. So if they try to do anything with a 3 or a 4, they get punished for it, potentially. It also slows down green tremendously, because they lose out on their ability to sort of swarm the board with low levels to then Digizorb into higher things. Because of that, you can sort of punish them further with Puppetmon, and you'll see how we can sort of loop Puppetmons later on. That's sort of the goal of this deck, which I still think people should have a look more into this deck. I haven't actually tested this out yet, just in a tournament setting, but theory crafting, these ratios should be perfectly fine. So 4 and 4, and then the last 2 green Digimon we run are Titamon. The reason for this is because he's a 10 cost. If you get to like game 1 and you're about to go against your opponent, and you win the die roll, you have to go first. You take your turn. A lot of the cards in this deck are higher than 10 cost. There are not a lot of cards that you can play on first turn, like on turn 1. So you need, even like the generic 10 costs, you'll see later we play the Chaosmons. So you need the 10 costs or even lower, but unfortunately we don't have any lower level 6s that cost less. But Titamon's such a big body, you can just drop him and it's fine. If they don't deal with him, you Chaosmon next turn. That's the idea, at least. And if they win the die roll and you go second, he's perfectly fine as well. If you don't have one of these to drop, you just drop him and then you can do Chaosmon plays with that. So that's the green engine. Now, the yellow engine. This is where a bulk of the deck comes from. I am running 3 Lucimon. The main reason for running so many of him is actually for Magnadramon. When I was running my old MegaZoo build with RagnaZoo, I completely forgot that Magnadramon had a when attacking effect. When attacking, play a level 3 yellow Digimon from your hand. Lucimon's level 3, so you drop a Magnadramon, you recover 2 when you're at 3. Next turn, if they don't get rid of the Magnadramon, you swing, you drop Lucimon, you get that extra recovery, and you have another 10k beat stick for free on board, which is kind of insane. And I've found that just in testing, like theory crafting, because of the sort of philosophy of MegaZoo, where if your opponent doesn't deal with your stuff, you just start winning. If they keep dealing with it, say like you drop like a Puppetmon or you drop like a Lotusmon, and then they Gaia Force it, or they Trump Sword it, or anything like that, like Hell's Gate, whatever. The more that they deal with your stuff, the more your trash fills up. the more fodder for Lucimon to lower its cost to 5, which makes this inherently more valuable, because you'll see in a second we'll get to the level 5s that I play, the Magna Angemons, that do the same effect, just they're a 7 cost, and it's a lower DP, which is, I think, insane that you're able to 5 cost this, just by forcing your opponent into a situation where they have to deal with your stuff, otherwise they start losing. Now, the only other vanilla we play, I think, is Magnadramon. Same idea with Titamon. You need more cards in the deck that you can play on turn 1. It's just how it is. Like, you need more names to be able to play on turn 1. Magnadramon, I've also found quite good for some plays with Magna Angemon. Now, sorry about the glare. I'll actually put this on top. So, I've found, just in testing, just testing, theory crafting, and doing stuff with mates, you hard drop a Magna Angemon, you get the recovery. Next turn, if they don't deal with the Magna Angemon, you Digivolve. Then you'll see later we play the Kaiser Nail Cocytus Breath engine with the blue engine. You Kaiser Nail for the Magna Angemon, you get that next recovery. So it's just sort of looping recovery, and it gives you another big body on board that gives you access to Chaosmon. Magna Angemon, pretty standard. It's Magna Angemon. McDonald's used it for the deck. Pretty much any color control deck sort of plays it. It's just good for it. I'm only playing 2 Shakomon. I'm gonna move Patamon here. I'm only playing 2 Shakomon. The reason being is I don't really have space for a third one, and I think if you're running too many level 5s, you're not running enough fodder to get up to your level 7s. That's basically my only reasoning behind it. The last 3 cards in yellow that I play are the 3 TK. I'm playing 3 because you need to see it, on the basis that a lot of your cards are 12 or 13 cost, and if you're stuck each turn just on the 11 cost, there are a few situations where you will need that extra memory, so you do want to see him early, or at least in security would be insane. You want to see him early to be able to drop him just really early on, and then guarantee yourself the 13 memory per turn. So that's the yellow lineup. Now, Lucimon is quite expensive right now. I think alt art is $105. The regular art's like $75 or $80. If you don't want to play Lucimon, it's perfectly fine to drop it and play like 3 Bushy Agumon. You don't get the recovery, but it allows you to push for games so much easier. I have considered dropping maybe 1 Lucimon and maybe something else for 2 Bushy Agumon, because then you can, it's like, say your opponent has left your Magnadramon on board, and their security is at 1. You swing with the Magnadramon, its effect procs, you drop Bushy Agumon, you win. Like, it's just how sort of the game goes, right? Is your opponent sees a Magnadramon and they're like, oh, okay, he can't win next turn, or like he has a lower chance of winning next turn, but then you swing with it, drop the Bushy Agumon, and you just win. Like, Yeah, it is. I can certainly see an argument for playing Bushiagumon over Lucimon. I just like the recovery, the more control aspect. I prefer. Of course, that is kind of mute if you have Lotusmon on the board, because Lotusmon does actually affect both players. So dropping the Lucimon or the Bushiagumon while you have Lotusmon on the board sort of makes it less valuable. But it's still one of those things of like, it's just it's up to personal preference as to whether you want more aggression or you want more control. I personally prefer the recovery control sort of variant. Now, moving on to the white Digimon, the Chaosmons, essentially. Like there is no other level 7s that you can play with this. I don't think from memory. You got Millenniumon is purple black, Omnimon is red and blue, Altares is red and black. Realistically, yeah, you kind of just need to play Valderam and regular Chaosmon. Valderam is maxed out because every card here, it's like, I actually don't know how many it is. I think it's like 36 cards work with Valderam. Or like similar to that. It's like, maybe it's like 30 cards, so more than half the deck works with Valderam. You can Digivolve it on top of, and it just works. Chaosmon, it only works with the green cards, and I do play just a 2 of Machinedramon. The reason for the 2 of Machinedramon is we don't play any blockers. I would run Craniumon. However, at my locals where I play, we had just this week, like literally yesterday actually, I played Black Blocker, and a few other people actually played Black Blocker, but there were a lot of people there, and every green player that I went up against Banchoed me. They just Bancho Stingmon and they just win, right? So it's one of those things where it's a lower DP. It does less in terms of protection because obviously Craniumon can't be blown up by effects. But because of the 12k DP, it can be just Bancho Stingmon. And since green is such a prevalent color, I know not a lot of people are playing Bancho, but because of how aggressive Bancho can be, and because of the people that play it at my locals, I opt for playing Machinedramon because it's 11k. It's just under that 12k threshold that Bancho Stingmon needs. But it also does a lot in terms of slowing down their plays. So you hard drop this, the on play to Digivolve 2 on 2 of your opponent's Digimon is insane. To be able to do that and like reliably do that and just remove like problem Digimon, get them down to a lower stage so that like next turn you can blow them up, or if your opponent gives you a little too much memory, you can hard drop this and have them just have a little bit less memory than they would need to be able to out it or out something else. I think this is the better choice over Craniumon just because the Digivolve effect is such a big threat. And then obviously Craniumon can Digivolve on black as well, so that gives you 12 targets to use for regular Chaosmon. There's 10 green cards and the 2 black cards, so 12 targets for the regular Chaosmon. I have had people tell me that you need to lean more into the green side to play more aggressively. I actually think that the control variant is a little more consistent on the basis that you just have more cards that do things for you. With green, there's a lot of cards that you sort of need to just they don't do a lot for you in this variant of deck. I actually looked at it on Digimon Digimon Card.dev or whatever it is. There's like 3 level 4s, 5s, and 6s that have on-play effects, and none of them are good. There's a level 4 that lets you search for a level 5 or a level 6 from the top 3 cards of your deck, which would be good. But then it's a level 4. Where do you go from there? Like, we don't play any level 5s. There are no good level 5s that work with this style of deck. You just... It's not as consistent to play a green like a pure or a more heavy green engine. So that's why Chaosmon's only at 3s, because there's only 12 targets to Digivolve on top of. Valderam works with almost the entire deck, so like max out on the Valderam, and the minus 7,000 twice is insane. So that's my reasoning behind Valderam versus Chaosmon. Yeah. Now the last engine we play is 4 Vmon, 4 Cocytus Breath, and 4 Kaiser Nail. I would say the most influential card of the last format. 100%. And probably Vmon as well, to be honest. I think Vmon puts in so much work just being able to swing for free. If it's on top of Demi Vmon, you swing and you always get the draw. It's just insane. Yeah. Cocytus Breath. It's not as good as Gaia Force, obviously, because it's not actually deleting the Digimon. It's just returning it to their hand. But if they spend all their resources, so you say are versing like purple or something, and they maybe not purple. Purple tends to keep their like Metal Garurumon in the raising area until they've got it and they've got the Hell's Gate active sort of thing. So maybe like against green, right? They spend all their resources digivolving up to the Grand Kawagamon, or they go all the way up to Nidhoggmon to wipe 2 or 3 things off your board or something. You Cocytus Breath that, and they've lost their access to Chaosmon with that. All that work has just sort of gone away. Purple still is another thing where it's like they go all the way up, and then you Cocytus Breath them and they lose their access to whatever they were going to do. Yellow War Greymon, now that's a big thing. I think Cocytus Breath really hurts, is they get all the way up to their War Greymon, and if they pass turn with that Digivolution, you Cocytus Breath their War Greymon, their Angelmon goes to the trash pile. They lose their Angelmon, which is the main form of sort of aggression for that War Greymon. The War Greymon still is in their hand, but now they have to Digivolve all the way up to it again. And Kaiser Nail. Once again, what I would say is possibly the best card just in the format, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, It's just insane how good this card is. Yeah, so a few cards that just generically work with Kaiser Nail. Literally any of the Chaosmons. So these are some pretty good targets. I will grab out like a Magnadramon for demonstration purposes. So say you have the Magnadramon on field and you go into Valderam. You hit whatever they have. Next turn, you've given them a little bit of memory, like a fair bit of memory. It's 6 memory. So say you gave them like 5, you're on 1. You gave them 5 for the turn. You've knocked out two of their things that were going to be pretty big, but they now have to rebuild. They rebuild, and they manage to knock out 2 of your security. Next turn, Kaiser Nail, Magnadramon effect. You recover 2 again. You go back to 5. Yeah, and then next turn you can swing with that, and this still applies the pressure of if it gets deleted, you gain 3. So you can swing with that for free, and if they choose to get rid of it, plus 3 memory. Magnadramon, You swing with it. You get your free. Where are you? You get your free Lucimon, and then you get more recovery. And in that turn, so say that you swung. Next turn, they give you 5 memory, or even 4 memory. Right? They spend a lot of their resources getting back. You Kaisernail, Magnadramon, recover 2. Next turn, Magnadramon swing, Lucimon. Like, it's just insane how crazy this deck can sort of recover. And like, for 4 memory, you've gotten a recovery and a 10k beat stick. Or you've gotten 2 recovery and a 10k beat stick. Another combo would, I mean, it's hard to call these combos, but things like Machine Dramon, you hard play the Machine Dramon, next turn, Digivolve. Digivolve and do the piercing swing. Next turn, or not even next turn, if they give you enough memory, sure, go for it. Swing, drop the Machine Dramon out. Machine Dramon hits 2 things on their board. You have another blocker. It's like Kaisernail opens up so many plays. Another one would be so get these out of here. Magnangemon. You get the recovery. Say that you sort of have like no other play next turn. Just like you got a bricky hand or whatever, and you have the Magnadramon. Normally you would want to save this for Digivolving. For hard playing it. However, you don't really have that option, and you have another Lucimon in hand. You Digivolve into Magnadramon. And you've got like TK out, so you got 3 memory, so you spend it, you draw, you activate Kaisernail, and you get the recovery anyway, and then you can swing with Magnadramon. Before that, even swing with Magnadramon, play Lucimon, get the extra recovery, Kaisernail, get Magnangemon out, and you got the 2 recovery anyway. Now the last one is with the green sort of side. Is you have, say, Lotusmon on the field. Okay, just one Lotusmon. It's just sitting there. Your opponent's trying to deal with it. You Puppetmon them, and then next turn you Chaosmon. Okay. Chaosmon swing, or even Valderam, because it works with Puppetmon. Either one of them, whichever one you need at the time. Then next turn, Kaisernail, bring out the Puppetmon, suspend all their stuff again. Like, well, not suspend all their stuff, but suspend that thing that they were doing. And then they're still under Lotusmon. They've now got Puppetmon to deal with, and you've got there's so many things you can do with it. You don't even need the Lotusmon on the field. You can always be doing this, where you just Puppetmon them, and then you Chaosmon, and then Kaisernail, and then if you pop it out, and you happen to have like the God tier hand, and have another Chaosmon in hand, you Digivolve into Chaosmon again, and you swing, and then next turn you somehow have another Kaisernail, and pop Puppetmon out again, and your opponent gets infuriated at your absolute luck. But yeah, so that's the sort of way the deck is supposed to function. I added in the Machine Dramons, which I know quite a few people are not playing. The reason for that I've already explained, but the D-Digivolve 2 is insane. Yeah. I hope to bring you guys some games with this deck soon. But yeah, that's the green, yellow, blue MegaZoo. Some people online are calling it Sierra Mist. I do not like that name. I feel like it's a little stupid. I don't know what it's probably a reference to something, and I'm just not getting it. But for whatever reason, they've called it Sierra Mist. But yeah, I don't really like the name, so I'm calling this GrellueZoo because it sounds even more dumb, and I just prefer that. Okay, thanks for that.